What's up, everybody? Here to bring you another update on my truck. No, it's been a while since I've uploaded the last video, but the weather here has been pretty good. I'm out here in Arizona, and most people would think it's crazy hot all the time, but unless you live here, you'd know that like the weather's actually been pretty decent all the way up until this week. Now it's kind of hot for me to accomplish much, but I'll go over all my updates. I got quite a bit done, like I said, and the most important was the wiring. That was a huge hurdle for me because I hate wiring. It intimidates me quite a bit, as I'm sure it does for a lot of you guys. So I'm going to go over that and show you how easy it actually is, and then I'll show you the rest of the truck. Where we left off last time, but here out back, you can see I mounted my air tank and air compressors. They're all plumbed and wired. I also have my battery disconnect. Again, everything's wired. I have my relays and circuit breakers. In the air system, there's just the smallest leak, but it'll hold air for pretty much like a day and a half, 2 days before the front. It starts leaking in the front first. Let's see. In the very back, I got my tail lights mounted, and those are wired as well. So everything from the cab back is done aside from fabricating a bed floor, which I'll do that after I get this thing all running. Up front, I put in a new distributor. It's one of those MSD Pro billets. Mounted the carb, my distributor boxes, and you can see where I've come through the firewall with my wiring harness. And I also have new spark plug wires. And you can see it's not quite done, obviously, because there's no front clip. But all I have to wire are the front headlights, turn signals, and radiator fan. And that'll conclude the wiring. So let's go inside the cab and I'll show you what I got done in there. So I'm going to show you what kind of disaster I got going on in here. As you can see, I replaced that whole center OEM section, and I sunk some gauges in there. I know it looks kind of ridiculous a little bit, but for the time being, it's going to work, and it's kind of a temporary solution because that's all I had on hand. Eventually, I'm going to swap out the 2 OEM gauges with something more modern that'll get rid of this, and I can revert back to the stock. This gauge up top is for my airbags. It'll show the air pressure in the front system and the rear system, and the switches are according for front and rear. I also went with the low-car high shifter. Kind of like the look of that, so went ahead and splurged on that. And then I sank my fuse box in there. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about wiring. It's pretty easy. I went with this kit from Rebel Wire, and it's really nice because the wires, I know I wanted to make a video and show you how to do it as I did it along the way, but it's so self-explanatory. It'd be quite a boring video actually. But these wires, I don't know if you can see, but they're all labeled like every 6 inches on all the wires. Not only that, they go ahead and bundle them in a way that you'll know how to run them through your truck. So they'll have one bundle that runs to the front of the truck, one bundle that runs to the rear of the truck, one bundle that's for the engine, a bundle that's for the gauges in the dash, and a bundle for your ignition and turn signals. So it's all pre-sorted for you. All you have to do is run it and then hook up your connectors to it. It's very self-explanatory. And if you're starting from scratch like I did, what you want to do is, and if you know nothing, basically it's really simple. You run a wire from your battery to your starter, from the starter to your alternator, and then either from the starter or your alternator, you're running a feed to your fuse box. And then everything else is wired through the fuse box, except for the signal to the ignition switch. But again, I went with a company called Rebel Wire. It's a really nice kit. This one is a 9+3 circuit, and I went with that because I have these 3 switches down here that I ran. One is for a fuel pump. I'm running an electric fuel pump. The second one's for an electric fan. I'm running electric fans, and the last one is for my air compressors for the air system. So I'll show you that real quick. And then on the +3 circuits, one of them is always hot, and two of them are to the key. I'll turn the key anyways, just so you can see like stuff's kind of working. And so if I flip that, that runs the air compressors. And then this switch is going to be for your air, so you can see out back. So that's about it as far as your wiring goes. On this Rebel wiring kit, one of the reasons I like them is that they are I don't know if you call them a sponsor, but they're a vendor over on the HEMB discussion forums, and that's where I usually go a lot of times to get tips on older vehicles, on what other people do. And so if you're a member there, and when you place your order through Rebel Wire, you'll get a 10% discount. I think it's 10%. More or less, like this kit was about 200 bucks shipped to me, which is very reasonable for everything that you get. And it was enough to do my whole truck. There was 3 circuits that I didn't use. Basically, I'm not using windshield wipers. There's no radio, and I forgot what the last one was. I think it was, oh yeah, for your turn signals, if you're running aftermarket turn signal switch, depending on which switch you go with, but I think they're all the same, you're not going to use your hazard wire and your flasher. You pick one or the other, and I think the only difference is the hazard will work without the key, whereas with the flasher, if you have the flasher wired, you need the key in for the hazards to work, if that makes sense. If not, when you get to that point, you'll see what I mean. And just to show you the aftermarket switch, it's like that. Other than that, I mean, the things that I have to get done, obviously you see a big hole there. I am working on that just outside over there, basically clearancing the metal for the shifter. Anyways, like I said, the truck's almost done. We're in the home stretch. Hopefully I can get it done soon. The next biggest obstacle is just obviously getting the seat mounted and the front clip back on. Shouldn't be too hard. Everything else should be sound though. The wiring's good. I mean, tested all of it. Plumbing's good. Everything else is new. If it doesn't fire, it's on me. Like the engine's been sitting for a while, so it's either carburation, timing. So yeah, I mean, thanks for following along with this project. Hopefully the next video I have for you, it'll be done and actually fires up and running. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. I usually do my best to try to answer it. As far as the wiring goes, I highly recommend that Rebel Wire company. That, I mean, it was a pretty nice product. Like I said, everything was labeled. It's self-explanatory, and if there is anything that you don't know, you can pretty much find everything you need to online. I mean, that's basically what I did. I was a little unsure on the 12-volt charging system, like where the starter wire goes, alternator wire, but that's basic. So yeah, I mean, hopefully next video I post up, hopefully it's not months and months down the road, I'll have this thing running. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye.